Welcome to this lesson on building a coaching relationship with a senior executive. Building an effective working relationship with a C-level manager can be challenging and requires a carefully developed strategy and a confident and informed approach. In this lesson, we explore the steps you can take to build a successful executive coaching relationship. In executive coaching, the relationship is the container for growth, insight, and transformation. Unlike skills-based or transactional coaching, the executive coaching relationship is complex, high-stakes, and multifaceted, often influenced by power, politics, and shifting expectations from multiple stakeholders. This lesson focuses on how to build, structure, and sustain an effective executive coaching relationship, with particular attention to contracting, stakeholder management, credibility, power dynamics, and trust. First, let's look at contracting, goals, roles, and boundaries. At the heart of any successful executive coaching engagement is a clear, structured contracting process. Contracting defines the expectations, agreements, and ethical boundaries that will govern the coaching relationship, clarifying purpose and outcomes, and defining roles and responsibilities. The coach and executive, the client, must agree on the primary objectives of coaching: developmental, strategic, transitional, etc. Measurable outcomes aligned with both individual and organizational goals, and the time frame and frequency of coaching sessions. For example, in an engagement with a newly appointed CFO, the coaching objective might be: develop strategic leadership presence and influence at the executive team level within the first 6 months. A robust contract will also clarify what the coach is responsible for example, creating a safe space, challenging assumptions, and facilitating insight. What the client is responsible for example, setting the agenda, committing to change, completing actions between sessions. And also the role of the sponsor or organization, such as providing support, feedback, and integration with business strategy. You will also need to establish confidentiality and boundaries. Confidentiality is vital, especially at the senior level. Coaches should outline what information remains private between coach and client. What, if anything, will be shared with sponsors or HR? And how feedback will be gathered or reported, if applicable. Best practice will normally require the use of a written coaching agreement, ideally aligned with ICF, EMCC, or other professional guidelines, which should be reviewed with all parties. You should revisit the agreement during the coaching journey, especially if goals or conditions change. Unlike life coaching or middle management development, executive coaching is rarely a two-person relationship. It is an ecosystem which involves the executive client, the sponsor, and the HR or organizational development partner. The client is at the center, and their ownership of the coaching process is paramount. Coaches must treat the executive as a partner, not a case. Empower them to set the agenda and reflect on their leadership, and respect their privacy and time constraints. The sponsor, often the executive's manager, the CEO, or a board member, typically initiates the coaching engagement, sets high-level expectations or success measures, and wants to see observable improvement in leadership behavior. As the coach, you should seek to build a relationship with the sponsor early. Clarify what progress looks like for them, but don't let them control the coaching content. HR or organization development typically manages coaching providers, ensures alignment with talent strategy, and may coordinate multiple coaching engagements. Coaches should communicate transparently with HR, clarify boundaries around reporting, and respect the internal coaching framework, if any. A triangular, or tripartite, contract includes the client, the executive, the coach, and the sponsor and/or HR. Key elements of such a contract includes agreement on shared goals, check-ins at midpoint and end of coaching, if appropriate, and ethical handling of feedback and confidentiality. For example, for a senior leader in transition, HR may want updates on onboarding milestones. The coach should negotiate how that data is shared, while protecting the reflective space of the client. To coach senior executives, the coach must project credibility, confidence, and competence, without being overbearing or deferential. This will entail establishing presence and credibility with senior leaders and practicing informed curiosity. Executive clients are discerning. In the first few minutes of interaction, they are asking themselves, does this coach get my world? Can I trust them to challenge me? Do they have the capacity to handle the weight of my role and decisions? Coaches must speak the language of business and leadership, demonstrate calm, clarity, and professionalism, and use clear, purposeful questions, and avoid coaching jargon. Executives value coaches who understand strategic complexity, have the ability to explore issues without needing technical expertise, and display confidence in holding space for ambiguity. We suggest you stay curious but concise. Be prepared to handle defensiveness with respect and candor. For example, when coaching a COO managing a merger, ask, what have you learned about your own leadership as you navigate the pressure of integration, not how are you feeling today? In building effective coaching relationships, you will need to navigate power dynamics and authority. Coaching executives means stepping into a world where power, hierarchy, and influence shape behavior and communication. The coach must be able to see and work with these dynamics, without being overwhelmed or submissive. Firstly, coaches need to understand executive power structures. Executives operate in high-stakes environments. They often manage vast budgets, teams, and risk, make decisions that affect entire business units, and are under scrutiny from boards or shareholders. Coaches must understand this context and explore how the client uses power, how they experience authority, their own and others, and where they feel constrained or emboldened. Executive coaches must also manage the coach-client power balance. While the client holds organizational power, the coach holds psychological power through questions and reflection. We advise coaches: use this balance wisely. Don't rescue or flatter, and challenge with respect. Consider this example. A CEO dismisses their team's feedback. The coach might say, can we explore why the feedback isn't landing with you? What might your team be trying to tell you? This maintains partnership while holding the mirror up. Trust is not a one-time achievement. It is a continuous process of showing up, following through, and staying present. In long-term coaching relationships, the coach must be consistent in demeanor and tone, maintain confidentiality without exception, avoid triangulating between client and sponsor, and acknowledge when trust has been shaken and work to repair it. Trust grows when sessions are held consistently. The coach is mentally and emotionally present. The client feels heard. Note: a single lapse, such as canceling late, breaking a confidence, or showing disinterest, can erode the relationship quickly. Coaches also need to manage setbacks and resistance. Sometimes the client resists feedback from others, accountability conversations, and emotional vulnerability. Rather than confronting or avoiding, the coach can normalize resistance as part of growth, explore what's at stake for the client, and reinforce the shared purpose of the engagement. Consider this example. If an executive avoids setting goals, ask, what might make committing to specific goals uncomfortable for you right now? Doing this deepens insight without judgment. The executive coaching relationship is unlike any other. It combines rigorous goals with deep trust, professional boundaries with emotional presence, and strategic impact with personal transformation. To coach senior leaders effectively, the coach must contract skillfully, navigate multiple stakeholders, hold their own with powerful individuals, and sustain a relationship that is both safe and challenging. This relational foundation sets the stage for everything that follows in the coaching journey, including diagnostics, program design, and outcome evaluation, which we will explore in subsequent lessons. Want to learn more about this subject? Then click on our website to view the full course. Why not subscribe and get access to free articles and special offers? Join the Global Career Highway now.